Class, in this video I'm going to show you how to get started with your client website. So last week you created the sitemap and you drew two wireframes showing what your site would look like, and you based your wireframes off of a theme that you found on woothemes.com because Ball State has the themes at woothemes.com available to you. So what I want to do in this video is sort of explain how you're going to make a second website and then walk you through the process of making it. So you learned WordPress by creating a portfolio site and you bought a domain name that was probably yourname.com. If you wanted to make a second site, you can go into your hosting service and you can buy another domain, or some hosting services will give you free domains, and Lithium Hosting actually gives you 2 extra domains for free. So since you've already bought their services, you can get another domain for free. But what I want to show you is how to split a domain into what's called subdomains. This is kind of an interesting way of creating another website that's related to your main site. So as an example, I'll show you Ball State. You'll see if we go to bsu.edu, watch what happens to the address. We're actually redirected to cms.bsu.edu. CMS stands for Content Management System. And when you type in bsu.edu, you get redirected to this subdomain. So the domain is bsu.edu. Ball State owns that. They probably pay about the same as you, $10 to $15 a year, to own that. They've then created a subdomain, cms.bsu.edu. And you'll see they have other subdomains as well. iweb.bsu.edu takes you to a completely different website. And iweb is the subdomain, iweb.bsu.edu. So they've taken this bsu.edu domain and they split it into several different sections. There's also an iLocker. This one looks the same, except it says iLocker at the top now instead of iweb, and it has different instructions. There's ilearn.bsu.edu. And then, of course, we can go back to cms.bsu.edu. So these are all subdomains of bsu.edu. You can pay for one domain and then split it into multiple sites. Now, the sites should be similar because they do have the same domain name. Everything I just showed you has bsu.edu at the end. For this class, I want you just to split your domain into a subdomain so that you can see how that process works, and also so that you can have a client website. I don't want you to go out and get a domain for your client because I don't think it makes sense for this class. You don't want to pay for it if you're not using Lithium Hosting. Lithium Hosting will give it to you for free, but if you have another service, you might have to pay for it. And you also don't want to take a name that your client might actually want. So for example, if you're working with CardinalComm, and CardinalComm decides that they want to buy cardinalcommunications.com, if you own that, that could be a problem. So for this class, you're going to create a subdomain, just like Ball State has with cms.bsu.edu, iweb.bsu.edu, ilearn.bsu.edu. You're going to make a subdomain. So in order to do that, you need to go to lithiumhosting.com, assuming that's where you've bought your hosting, and you're going to sign in. You'll want to go to Services and Domains, Your Services, and then click View Details. Click on Login to cPanel, just like you did when you were loading WordPress to your site. And this time, instead of going all the way to the bottom and looking for WordPress, we're going to look in the middle under the Domains section for subdomains. So we're going to click Subdomains, and here's where you can create a subdomain. So my domain is mcnames2.com. If I want to create a subdomain, I'll just type in the word that I want to appear before the period. So Ball State has cms.bsu.edu, iweb.bsu.edu, ilearn.bsu.edu. For your site, you have a couple options. This is a site that you're just making for class, so the name's not super important. You might want to call it client.mcnames2, or whatever your domain is, .com. Or maybe you could give it your client's name. If you're working with BSU Dance Marathon, you could do BSU Dance. If you're working with PRSSA, you could do PRSSA. So you select what you want the subdomain to be. I already have several subdomains, so I'm going to call mine Client Example. Now you don't want the word in the subdomain or the set of words to be too long. If I named this, for example, Ball State University Client Example, that's a pretty long name, but I also have to then add mcnames2.com to the end. I don't want to have to go to BSU Client Example website.mcnames2.com every time I want to look at my site. So pick something short and sweet. Don't use any spaces or strange characters. Just type it out, all lowercase, all one word. We're going to click Create. And it's going to look for a second like nothing's really happening, but our subdomain is being created. You might have to wait a while. It could be up to a minute. It really just depends on a couple different factors like your web connection. There we go. So clientexample.mcnames2 has been created. I'm going to click Go Back. And then I'm going to click Home, and now I have a subdomain, clientexample.mcnames2.com, and if I go there, there's nothing there. It's just a blank site. If it says index of, that means the site is working, but you haven't put anything there. So going back into that cPanel, this is going to look familiar to you. Now I'm just going to upload WordPress. So I'm going to go to WordPress, and I'm going to click Install. Now this is very, very important. Pay close attention. If you're sort of letting this video play in the background while you're doing something else or while you're looking at themes, pay attention, really close attention for a minute. It's really important here that under Choose Domain, you select that subdomain that you just made. Now I use this site for a lot of test clients and things like that, so I have a lot. You'll just have two. But there's my client example right there. If you don't select your subdomain in this Choose Domain section, you'll be attempting to put WordPress on a site that you already have WordPress on, and that could result in you deleting what's there. So double check before you submit this page that domain lists your new site, your subdomain, and not the site where you put your portfolio, yourname.com. Now, just like last time, you have a few things you want to change. So site name, client name would be great, description. This could be a slogan that you've come up with. Keep in mind the description helps Google understand what the site is. So client names, blog about whatever. Admin and password. And change your email. And then go ahead and click Install. Now, I'm not going to install this because I'm putting my password on YouTube, so I'm not going to actually install this, but you would click Install, and this would put WordPress on your site, just as when you created your portfolio site. That's all there is to creating subdomains. If you have any questions, please feel free to send them my way.